The next one is make author friends, and that takes stepping out.
Greetings, entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Secrets podcast, the show that uncovers the secrets to win with books, beyond book sales, and dominate entrepreneurship. Through exclusive author interviews, stories, and must-have resources, you will discover some of the secrets and strategies to thrive with books and generate lasting income. I invite you to become an entrepreneur ambassador and join me in my mission to raise up 10,000 Caribbean entrepreneurs by 2030. Spread the word about the podcast and encourage more people to increase their impact and income with books beyond book sales. To get started, visit entrepreneursecrets.com/resources and download all the resources that you need to become a winning entrepreneur. Without further ado, let's get into the show. It's episode 103 of the Entrepreneur Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Ruth Taylor, and on today's show, we are going to be mostly doing an interview so that you can be inspired and gain some strategies and some encouragement on your author journey. We'll be having a delightful talk with author Dale Mahfood, a Jamaican living in the diaspora, who recently published a book called When Trees Fall. It's a historical fiction, and he's going to talk to us about that, as well as his own exploits into the entrepreneurship space. I'm also going to be updating you briefly on my own entrepreneurship journey, and also sharing a resource with you that Dale mentions in his interview that will help you to build your author platform and grow your entrepreneurship business. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Henika Watkins, Porter, speaker, coach, author of Podcast Power, and the host of the Entrepreneurial You podcast, inviting you to listen to the Entrepreneur Secrets podcast, brought to you by C. Ruth Taylor, best-selling indie author and the Caribbean's most trusted voice on entrepreneurship. Get ready to dominate entrepreneurship.
All right. So if you're thinking of starting a podcast, Henika was the one who helped me to start my podcast, and we did a one-day training. And in no time, I was able to start my podcast. So you can go to henikawatkisporter.com and check out what she has to offer, and she will help you to build a podcast. She has interviewed amazing persons like Les Brown, Lisa Nichols, Richard Branson, and Seth Godin, and others. And I'm sure she'll be able to help you. All right. In terms of my own entrepreneurship ventures, I am thinking about doing something on my birthday, something light, so I can still relax. I am thinking of using my books to start a new community that will cater to healing of the brokenhearted. And I want to start with the book Unshackled Queen. So I write two types of books. I have books for authors that help them to write and publish books. And I also have personal development books to help persons chart their healing journeys, discover their purpose, and walk in their greatness. And so, in fact, I have about 6 books in what I call the Embracing Destiny series, starting with Unshackled Queen, which is from heartbreak to wholeness. And so I am thinking of launching a new community and starting a new YouTube channel, which would be a sister channel to this one. So I'll tell you more about that in the weeks to come. But tied to that is the book club on Patreon. So if you join the Entrepreneur Secrets book club on Patreon, then you will already have access to the books that we'll be using in this mentorship program, in this community that I'm calling my community for Unshackled Queens. And so I'm looking forward to building this new community. I remember when I just started the authorship journey and I was kind of like struggling with it. I remember God saying to me that my books are trees, and also that the leaves are for the healing of the nations. And so this new community is about healing. I always say to authors, sometimes when they are fearful of stepping out, that someone's deliverance is tied to your book. And I believe that the books that we will go through and the teachings from these books, along with biblical transformational principles and teachings, because I'll be doing both on this channel, that they will help in your healing journey and help you to walk in your greatness so you can fulfill the potential and purpose that God has you on earth for. And so that will be the latest in my entrepreneurship venture. Now, the resource that will help you on your author journey to grow your following and to build your own tribe is Book Funnel. Through Book Funnel, you can sell books direct. You can use Book Funnel to deliver your freebies or your free book chapters that you're giving away to grow your audience. And they will take care of the heavy lifting for you. If you want books to be sent to folks and maybe folks are having problem accessing the books, Book Funnel will sort out all of that for you. So when you want to send advanced reader copies, when you want to set up your street team, your book launch team, you could consider using Book Funnel to deliver the materials that you want in terms of the free chapters or your short stories. And you can use Book Funnels. So I want you to check out Book Funnel. And remember too, on the Entrepreneur Secrets website, Entrepreneur Secrets /resources, I have a number of free resources there to help you to write and to monetize your book. So the ebook and the audiobook, The Rocket Writer, they are there and you can go and listen. You can download The Rocket Writer, How to Write a Nonfiction Book in 24 Hours. And the book Penny to Win, which is going beyond book sales, which breaks down the process of how you could develop 30+ income stream from your book and how you can manage your finances. So Penny to Win, the audio is there for free. And of course, Entrepreneur Secrets is there for you to buy it. And there are courses that are there. And if you're a member of the Patreon group, of course, you would get either a 5% discount or a 10% discount based on your membership level. So I want you to go to entrepreneursecrets.com/resources to get some useful resources to help you on your writing and publishing journey and your author entrepreneurship journey. Remember, for us, entrepreneurship is not just starting a business, but we're saying that your book is not just a product to sell, but a platform for transformation and a platform that you can use to increase both your impact and your income beyond just selling the books. All right, so it's now time for our interview with Dale Mahfood. He is the author of a book called When Trees Fall, and it's the first in the Wood and Water series. It's a historical novel, and it's based on a family saga. He also published the Poetic Memoir for his mom, and he runs an independent publishing company called Rockstone Publishing House. Besides writing and publishing his own work, he has advised other authors on the publishing process from manuscript to market. He graduated from Florida International University with a master's in English, and he has been a teacher of English for over 13 years, both at the secondary and college level. And I am so delighted to have him share in our podcast. Welcome to the show, Dale.
Thank you, Ruth. It is my honor to be on the show.
I'm so happy to have you. I enjoy seeing your posts on Instagram, the books that you love to read. And normally the show interviews more nonfiction authors, so it's good to talk to the fiction authors who are also stepping out into the entrepreneurship zone. So it's good to have you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so you are in South Florida. I have lots of family and friends in South Florida. What do you miss about Jamaica?
Oh boy, I've been in this, we moved up in like 1977, and I actually didn't go back for 30 years, believe it or not, because I always wanted the opportunity to travel different places. But then when I finally went back, the first thing that hit me was the mountains, and I actually got choked up and emotional when I saw the mountains. I didn't realize how much I missed the mountains. I miss the authentic food. We have good food up here. Actually, if you go to Dutch Pot is good, little advertisement, but it's not the same. And of course, I miss the people. Although, you know, I think they call South Florida Kingston 21 or something like that. So we have quite a few of us here too. But I just miss the vibe, you know, the loving vibe.
I like that, because even when I was in South Florida in February for my grandaunt's funeral, and I struggled with what to bring up, because I'm like, this is little Jamaica. What do I take that you guys don't have? And as you mentioned the mountains, when we were leaving, my brother said, if you see any mount that is man-made, Florida is flat. There are no mountains. And I remember also when I returned from Namibia years ago, where we went, because it's mostly desert. And at the time that I went, everything was just brown and dry. And when I was coming home, as the plane was hovering over Jamaica, tears came to my eyes, and I recorded it in a book called When Trees Talk.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't know you had a book similar to title as mine. That's wonderful.
So I found it very interesting. So your book is When Trees Fall, and mine is When Trees Talk. So talk to me, from an English teacher to an author, what led you to finally start writing?
So, you know, I used to write, well, in high school, I didn't really write much, but I remember 2 poems I had to write that the teacher put in a little booklet. One of them was an angsty teenage type, you know, poem that I was rebelling, whatever. Another one was about a Rasta man. I had no clue what I was talking about, you know, just Bob Marley, and that's it. And then, you know, probably a couple of years after that or so, I became a Christian, and I found myself writing a short lyrical songs, Christian songs. And I did that for a while, and I still do that from time to time. And then when I went to get my master's, I started taking English courses in poetry and so on. So I found myself writing poetry and really enjoying that. Then eventually, my mother used to tell us stories about her growing up in Westmoreland. She'd tell us all the time. And one day we're sitting at the dinner table about 13 years ago or so, and she's telling these stories. And I say, you know what? I'm going to write a novel. And everybody said to me, do it, do it. So it took me 13 years, you know, for various reasons. But that's what really inspired me to begin writing, you know, prose. And, you know, it's her, basically it's her, the seeds of her stories are in the novel. It's very fictionalized. There's a lot of stuff going on, but that's where the novel comes from.
So we see the love of poetry, which is something we have in common, because my first writing stuff was, I used to write poems, turn them into cards and sell them. And then the poetic memoir. Talk to me about the poetic memoir, and then we're going to come back to When Trees Fall.
Okay, so here's the poetic memoir. It's my mother's book. She loves it so much. She's 89 now, and she's struggling with lung disease. But my mother is the type of person, anything she put her hand to, she does do it good. So one day I was starting a poetry club, and she said she would join. And that's a whole nother long story that's funny, because she's also feisty. And anyway, she wrote a poem called The Wicked City and read it to me. I said, Mother, that's good. And it's about Port Royal. And then what she decided to do was to take the tool of poetry and use it for her memoirs. And she has just written a beautiful book. I was fortunate to be able to edit it and to get it all, covered and everything done in a really beautiful style. So yeah, she loves it. She takes it out all the time and reads it. It's a blessing to her.
I love that. And as I started, I'm not through with When Trees Fall, but I wondered if any of it had to do with your history. And so you've actually expressed that. Take us a little bit into the novel without giving away too much, because we want folks to get it. One of the questions, for example, when I was on Joanna Penn's podcast, she asked about, what do you find in terms of authors in the diaspora? What do they write about? And I spoke about the fact that there seemed to be a kind of nostalgia, and they seem to weave their culture into their writing. And yes, I believe that is exactly what you've done. So talk to us a little bit more about When Trees Fall, and who is the audience for this kind of book?
Okay, great. Thank you. By the way, stop me when I talk too much, because I can talk forever about this. So first I'll start with the audience. First, when I was writing it, like I said at the dinner table, I'm going to write a book. First, it was for my family, to leave sort of a semi-record of what it was like for my mother. And then as I started writing it more, I thought to myself, wait a second, this is good for Jamaicans too, because it's preserving some of our history that has long got past, as well as one of my goals with this book, it's going to be a series of 4 books, is to explore the different cultures within Jamaica, the different ethnic cultures. So in this book, you have, a British colonial girl, even though her family have been in Jamaica for hundreds of years. You have a black man who comes from Akampong. You have sort of a mixed race young boy, and I kind of exploring those. And then in the next novel, for instance, there'll be a Lebanese character, and kind of I'm trying to explore those things and help Jamaicans to get a taste of the different, ethnicities within Jamaica. And then after that, I thought, this could be good for a general audience as well, to be able to realize that Jamaica is more than beach, reggae, and ganja. Okay, and again, no problem with the beach or the reggae, and the question is there for the ganja. Yeah, so for a wider audience. But overall, I think, it's interesting, even in marketing it. I know this is, bookpreneur place. In marketing, I've found that the people who are interested in it are probably more like between 25 and 45, and females particularly, because I think females tend to want to read sagas and things like that. But I think it relates to a lot of people.
I love it, because if you've been listening to my podcast or seeing my posts, I talk a lot about preserving our culture. So I have 2 aims. One is to preserve both Christian heritage and cultural heritage, as well as the economic empowerment, and using books as a platform for transformation. So hearing the rationale and what people get out of it, it's learning about the culture. So that is a good push as well to get this book. And I can see also, when we focus on Black History Month or Jamaica Day, you could also push this novel as part of that, get acquainted with our culture. And that whole line that you use, that we're more than sea and sand, so introduce more people to the culture. I love that. So
I am a Christian as well. And while I don't consider it a Christian novel, I didn't write it to be a Christian novel. Of course, it comes out of you. So there are a couple places I can think of in there where the characters naturally, the gospel is brought out in a natural way, because that's who I am. But I also explore other, types. I will explore other types of religions as well. There's stuff about revivalism in there and that sort of thing. So
I saw that, and something that is near and dear to my heart, although I say I'm not through, is the exploring the father wound and how it affects others. So that is a big theme for me, and then seeing it played out in this kind of setting. It has several themes that you could explore to introduce other readers to the book. And so I like it. So family sagas, plantation, all kind of stuff, it's in there. All right, folks. So I am on Dale's website, and it's rockstonepublishinghouse.com or dalemahfood.com. And if you're interested in getting When Trees Fall, you can go to the site and you can get, I think it's up to 4 chapters for free. And he spoke about his mom's poetic memoir. That is also on the site. And what I love about the site, it is a model for what you need to do. When you go there, for example, you have about write a review. And, you know, authors need reviews. And I see that your reviews are picking up. You have 20-something reviews on Amazon. And you go in detail to explain how you can leave a review, why review matters. And I want to applaud you for doing that. And that's something I think all of us need to adopt. So if you don't mind us copying you.
Not at all. Not at all.
I want to copy this and say to my listeners, when you have your author website, include this, because reviews is social proof, and you can't do some level of promotions and marketing unless you have at least 10 reviews on your website. And I must say, I love the cover. I love the colors. And I think you have a new fan, because I've signed up for more updates, and I'm looking forward to what book 2 will be about. So I want to invite you folks to go and get the book. And I think this week too is also on discount. The ebook is at 0.99 cents, right?
Yes.
And the paperback is $9.99. You can get it on Amazon. And
Sure.
You're using Book Funnel to deliver the sample chapters, and that is a good resource. So you're leading the way, and I love it.
Thank you. I'm trying. After listening to about 4 years of podcasts for two and 3 podcasts a week, I'm not the expert, but I almost feel like I have a PhD.
I love it. I love it. And I can see the application. It's a simple site. It's beautiful. The book is just gorgeous. And that's what a book should do, pull you in so that you want to learn more. So we have learned about your authorship journey. Talk to us, because this is the Entrepreneur Secrets podcast. What are your entrepreneurship ventures like?
Okay, so besides actually writing myself, you know, I find I like, when I learn something, I like sharing it. So I've been fortunate enough. There was actually, I'm a school teacher, and there was a young girl in there, and she had written a novel, and her father also worked at the school. So I was like, I was able to actually help them walk through the process, find her an editor, go through that process. I was able to format her book, and then, just walk him through the whole process till she got it out there, and then I've done that similar things with other people as well, and I find it a joy. I don't charge for it at this point, just because I don't have the time to do it in such a way that it would warrant charging, but I do enjoy the experience of helping people. So there's that. My wife edits. There's a friend of mine that she edited her book, and she said, "You're my editor from now on, because I've had other editors, and you're the best editor I've ever had." So we're working on building that into things as well. Let me see. The other thing I'm going to be experimenting with is Substack. I'm going to probably later on this month, I'm going to start serializing my novel on Substack, a chapter a week probably. We'll see how that goes, just to kind of build my followership that way. And then the other thing is just networking. Believe it or not, come May, I just bought my ticket to go down to Calabash Literary Festival in Treasure Beach. I'm excited about that. and mostly just to meet people and network with other authors and see where that leads, you know.
I love that. I might have to contact your wife re-editing, because we are expanding our editorial team at Humble Spark. So we'll look about that. But that sounds exciting. There's something that you didn't mention, which is dear to my heart, because I started entrepreneurship and the authorship thing to support missions. And
Yeah.
I saw that 10% of the proceeds from When Trees Fall will go to food for the poor. And I want to applaud you in that, because this is what I'm promoting and why I'm encouraging authors, not just to write and sell the books, but to use the income for a cause, and not just the income, but to use the book as a platform to highlight causes and missions that are dear to your heart. So I really, really love that. And when I saw it, my heart was glad.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, I just, I mean, it's the Lord's. Everything is the Lord's. And while 10%, is nothing in a sense, we want to give back a portion of what he has blessed us with for his kingdom. So I hope it does some good there,
Okay. So as you reflect on the journey and where you are, your journey is still young, and we're looking forward to the other books. For the aspiring author who is thinking of writing a historical novel or just writing in general, what advice would you have for them?
Well, first I would say you have to want it. It sounds like an easy thing to do, to write a novel, or even just to write a nonfiction book. I shouldn't say even just, because that has its own challenges. You have to want it, because the whole process is not easy. The fun part is the first draft. Like I've once heard somebody say, the first draft is for you, have fun. And then the other drafts are for the readers. So that's a whole process if you're going to do it properly, and you don't want to put out junk on, for people. So yeah. So I'd say, you have to want it, because it is challenging, it's rewarding. But if you don't want it bad enough, then you're not going to make it through, The other thing I'd say is educate yourself, both in craft, how to write whatever it is you're writing, and then also on the whole publishing world, whether you're going to get it traditionally published or whether you're going to independently or self-publish it. You have to know what you're doing. So educate yourself. There's so many amazing podcasts out there. As you know, you and I listen to Joanna Penn's A Creative Pen, and that's my favorite, and that's the one I would recommend first, but there are others as well. The next one is make author friends, and that takes stepping out. The way where it really opened up for me, my daughter invited me to Clubhouse when it was very young, the app. I found Jamaican authors on there, and they're some of my best author friends now, and that has only expanded. So it's so important to have that encouragement. Sometimes I call my friend Linda Edwards, and Linda, I just tired of this thing, man. I just want to just throw it away. And she's a Jamaican too, and she's a feisty Jamaican, and she's like, come on, man, just do what you have to do. So it's, that's encouraging. And then when everything is said and done, keep writing. Now, this is the challenge for me, because I can get caught up doing Instagram videos and this and that and trying to advertise, because sometimes it's easier to do those things than to actually sit down and do the writing. But you have to keep writing. You have to make the time to write. So those are the things I would suggest.
I love it. The first draft is for you. Thereafter is for the audience, and keep writing. Just before we go, in the entrepreneurship thing, you mentioned Substack. Some of our listeners may not be familiar with Substack. What is Substack?
Okay, great. So Substack was started, I'm not sure how many years ago, just a few years ago, maybe a handful of years ago, and it was really created for journalist types, because, things have gotten so hard in the journalist world. So what it is, it's a subscription email type model where people subscribe, and most people have a free subscription, but they also have a paid subscription where they offer more services. Right. I don't think I'm going to start with a paid subscription. I want to feel it out first. But it's just a way to get a good quality, whether it's news. One of my favorite ones writes about music and culture. I actually introduced a friend of mine who is a worship pastor, and he writes just a wonderful devotionals. So I was like, Josh, why don't you put this on Substack? So he started doing it, and it's really impressive. One of the things I love about it, you can put the option where it will post with an AI voice. And I usually listen to his devotionals on the way to work with the AI voice. So it's doing well right now. A lot of people are using it, and it's something I want to experiment with and see how it will do. Some people are serializing their novels as well.
I love it. That is good advice. So we want to congratulate you on all you are doing. And for those who want to reach out to you, build, more author friends, those who want to befriend you, where
Yes.
can we find you?
Sure. Well, my website is dalemahfood.com or rockstonepublishinghouse.com. And if you sign up for to get a free book, 4 free chapters of the book, you automatically get on my email list. I maybe once or twice a month. I try not to, fill people's email box. And whenever I come out with a new short story, which I've done several of them, I usually post it for free on there, so you get a copy of that. Other than that, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok with Dale Mahfood author. That's how you'd reach me. And of course, through my website, you can always email me as well.
Got it. And I met you on Instagram, so I want to say continue being out there, because I love what you're doing, and I can feel the passion oozing from you as it relates to authorship. And as Chronics would say, do it for the love and not for the likes. Do it for the love of it and continue writing. It has been such a joy talking with you, Dale. Thank you for coming on the show, and all the best.
It's been a blessing. Thank you for having me.
All right. I trust that interview inspired you, and you're able to walk away with some useful tips and strategies to help you on your author journey. Remember to check out Dale's books at dalemahfood.com or Dale Mahfood author. You can follow him on Instagram and check out especially his page on his website about getting book reviews. That is a very useful resource and something that we can pattern. So thank you for listening to the podcast. Share this episode with your friends. Let me know in the comments on YouTube how this episode has helped you. And remember to subscribe and help me get my first 1,000 subscribers for the Entrepreneur Secrets channel. Ta for now, until next time.